stating here on the Daily Dan blog. I love saying that. Welcome to 13 o'clock live with Daily Dan. As I can tell, nobody's really come in yet, so that's kind of cool. This is the pre-show. This is where I get things started for a few minutes. This is where I chill. So while we're waiting on everybody to get in, let's bust out Risk Thrill Factor with my friend Pat McCormick playing the theme song. Playing the theme song for 13 o'clock live. Another thing I need to do uh, is cut the volume down on my other device that I use for watching chat. So this is the theme song. Enjoy it. Thank you, Pat McCormick. And that was Pat McCormick with the official theme song for 13 o'clock live with Daily Dan. And you're in the pre-show. The official show starts at 1 o'clock, 13 o'clock. It's been a nice, weird night around here in South Carolina. It's really quiet. At least we hadn't got a storm like we've been having. Y'all have to forgive me. I'm a little down tonight. We had a death in the family. And it's kind of thrown everything into turmoil this week. And I'm going to do the show regardless because I'm committed. Greetings all. Hello, Sarah. It's good to see you in there. My flock is everywhere. Feel free to drop your link in case anybody wants to hook up. with you and check out your wonderful channel. This is my friend the Warhorse, Marty. Yeah, I enjoy old Marty's stuff. It's really cool to hear old Marty whooping out a tune. Y'all like him? Let me know in the comments. Ooh, that was a good hit. Welcome, everybody, to 13 O'Clock Live. I'm your host, Daily Dan. You're in the pre-show. The official show will start in about 8 minutes. We're going to check out a really old, really classic, The Legend of Bigfoot. It's a documentary from the 1970s. I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to take me back on a nostalgic trip. And now a word from the sponsor. Right. really like that song. Did y'all like that song? Be sure to let me know in the chat. I'm sorry to hear that, Sarah. I hope you get over your headache. Well, if you're going to stick around for this show, you'll probably have a whole lot bigger headache before it's over. As my show tends to give people a headache once in a while, so I've heard. Usually I would roll on in, and tell some jokes or something like that. But I'm not feeling it tonight. I really not. I was informed earlier today that there had been or yesterday, there had been a death in a family. And it's someone who's really, really close. And I'm not going to go into all that and bum the stream out. Plus, it's been a horrible week for my favorite stars. As everybody knows that Olivia Newton-John and Anne Heche both had passed away. I was a big Anne Heche fan. I don't know about y'all. But I really liked some of her work, especially Volcano with her and Tommy Lee Jones. I thought that was like an excellent movie. And, even though Olivia Newton-John hadn't put out no relevant music at all in the last few years, I did like some of her older hits, like Let's Get Physical and stuff. And it's really a bummer that she passed away also. So we're going to do one more song, then we're going to kick it off. And right after the song, I'll probably go straight into the main feature because it's a little longer than what I usually do here. And after the feature film's over, I want to hang out for a little while and show a couple of videos by some friends of mine and remember a few stars that have passed away this week and some stuff like that. So be sure to hang around because the after show is usually more interesting than the main show. And don't you just love it when the sponsor kicks in uninvitedly?
Of the lake, and the bite of the wind is like a slap in the face. A legend of horror lurks in the haze. It's Bigfoot, a giant of a creature, all covered with hair, as tall as a timber and strong as a bear. Y'all better not go walking out there with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's on the prowl. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's on the prowl. This legend has grown about this big hairy man that walks all alone. A mountain monster 10 feet tall called Bigfoot. From the tales of the traders and trappers to the image on Indian walls. From the Bear Paw Mountains of Montana to the signs of the Great Shasta Stars. From the Flatheads to Blackfeet and the Shoshones, he must have seen them all. And when the sun goes down in the northwest woods, if you listen, you can hear him call. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's on the ground. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's on the ground. Bigfoot's on the
Very special greetings to a good friend of mine, Colin Jess Islips. It's good to see you in chat, my friend. I have known this guy since I first started doing YouTube way back in the day. It's always good to see Colin Jess in the chat. My friend the Dark Angel, Ellie Mae from Kentucky. It's always good to see you in the chat too. You're one of my special friends. I really love you to death. And it makes me feel good that you'll take time out of your busy day to come over and Hang with the Daily Dan. Yeah, I just love these commercials tonight. I'm getting a lot of them, and I'm not even calling them up or nothing. They're just popping out the blue. Yeah, we gotta play some goddamn Candy Crush Saga tonight, ain't we? Anybody out there ever play Candy Crush Saga? Can anybody out there tell me what the hell Candy Crush Saga is? Welcome to 13 o'clock live. I'm your host, Danny Staten, here on the Danny Dan blog. I appreciate everybody joining me. This is the official beginning of the show, 13 o'clock live. If you've been listening to the music at the beginning, you were watching what I call the pre-show. And then I'm going to do my main feature, which is where I show usually a lecture about Bigfoot or something like that. Tonight's a very special night. I'm going to go about the legend of Bigfoot. It's a rare old movie from the 1970s about a man's hunt for the legendary creature. And I'm going to call this edition probably Copyright Theater, because I'm pretty sure before this night's over, I will get a big copyright. Hopefully not a strike, and hopefully at least the stream will go continue and go on. But if it goes dead in the middle, you'll know what happened, because I'm taking a chance, because I could not check this one for the copyright. But I still want to play it, and I'm going to do what I want to do regardless. Yeah, no, I know. Fuck you, YouTube. Whoops, did I say that out loud? Oh, I'm probably going to catch hell for this one, but this is The Legend of Bigfoot from 1973, I believe.
My name is Ivan Marks. The film you're about to see is authentic. It records the last 10 years, which has changed my life. I stumbled on something that I could not believe at first, but soon realized it had significance on me and everyone around me, which could not be ignored or underestimated. The Eskimos call the subject of my story Bushman. The Colville Indians of upstate Washington call him Sasquatch. The Hoopas of Northern California call him Oma. But right now, let's just call him Bigfoot.
Everybody be sure to stick around after the show, after this little feature presentation, for something I like to call Night Flights. And Night Flights takes off right after the movie. And my friend Thrash Pondo Pines named Night Flights for me. And then during Night Flights, I'll show a couple of videos by some other friends of mine on YouTube. I'll tell you some cool information, and we'll pay tribute to some stars who passed away. I hear the after show and the Night Flights part get higher ratings than the main show usually, so I guess y'all will enjoy that a lot. Sit back, relax, stir up a big old bowl, chill on out, and enjoy the legend of Bigfoot. How's the sound on that, guys? Let me know in the chat, please. Okay, maybe not.
This is my country. I've spent all my life in areas like this, as close to the animals as a man can get. I built my home here. Bear Ranch. Of course, I'm prejudiced, but I think it's just about the prettiest place I've ever seen. Then there's Peggy. She's a rare woman. She's the only woman I know who'd put up with the animals I used to bring home, like those coyote pups, and raise them just like they were her own.
I hear you, Shep.
Yeah, we've shared more ups and downs than there are in the high Sierras. Those were good days, simple, clear cut. You see, I'm a tracker, and believe me, I'm the last of a vanishing breed. I know tracks, like the FBI knows fingerprints. I specialized in renegades, killers of livestock, and sometimes people. I didn't kill for sport. I went after the right animals so innocent ones might be spared. I learned trapping from my dad's shoulders back in Illinois. Since that time, I've worked for the government, territory, sheriff's office, federal game wardens. When they had a renegade, they knew who to call. There was a time me and the dogs got called up all the way to Kodiak, Alaska. There had been reports that Bear had been killing the cattle. Now I know Bear, and the Kodiak happens to be one of the most beautiful on God's earth. Takes a lot of grub to feed him. 9 feet tall, up to a ton in weight. No need for him to be killing cattle, though. He's as fine a fisherman as you'll ever see.
And now a word from the sponsor, because they suck.
The ranchers were getting $5,000 bounties on these so-called cow killers. So I moved in to set things straight. I met a rancher who said it ain't Kodiak killing my cattle. I finally found someone I could talk to. He said, Bigfoot. Straight-faced as could be. He said Bigfoot's been killing my cattle. Bigfoot? I checked the carcass and saw the cow had died naturally. The bears just fed on its remains. Found out after the grass was waterlogged. Not enough protein. Cattle died of malnutrition. Kodiak. Bigfoot. People always want their questions answered in such neatly wrapped little packages. Oh, I'd heard about Bigfoot. Some abominable snowman who'd wandered across the Bering Strait before the Ice Age. I couldn't believe a grown man would tell me a Bigfoot was killing his cattle. What a bunch of hogwash. I didn't mind at all putting distance between me and those crazies in Alaska. And it felt good to be with some sensible folks like Peggy's brother. And Arizona University wanted us to track down a javelina hog for research. It's a small critter, but vicious. didn't respond as I'd expected. He said, "Don't be so quick to make judgments. There's something I want you to see." He took me to what Indians called the land of petrified wood. There, carved in rock, were drawings of a creature with big hands and big feet, exactly as I'd heard Bigfoot described. The drawings were 700 years old. They told how creatures the Indians called stickmen had come in the night and stolen the Indian children. The Indians abandoned the village in fear. First the ranchers, now my brother-in-law. My head was reeling with Bigfoot. The stories are just so many words, so I soon forgot about them, till I was up tracking a mountain lion. And I found these tracks. Now, they look much like human footprints, but they were 18 inches long, 6.5 across the ball of the foot, 5.5 at the heel. They were the hugest I'd ever seen. Tracks were so deep, they had to have been made by at least a 500-pound animal. And the hair, I couldn't identify it. The toe prints were spread around small rocks and dug into the earth, showing whatever made them could cover pretty rugged country. And the stride was enormous, 52 inches in length. Man's only 30. They were fakes. Somebody would have had to drag a pretty big machine over pretty rough country to make them, and they would have left their own tracks. I saw where a creature had stumbled. There was a handprint, but no sign of claws. It was so man-like. I was mystified, so I made plaster casts and sent them with the hair to a lab for analysis. Well, I tell you, I was glad to get home. Our pups were growing, and they didn't give us much time to think about everything that had happened. This time, I wasn't so eager to return to the mountains. Tests had shown the hair samples and tracks couldn't be matched with any known animal. I was uncomfortable. The animals were even acting strange. I soon found out why. I found the bear I was looking for, but not in the condition I expected. Another track, just as I'd seen on the mountain. There, between its teeth, the hair. I was astounded. A 600-pound bear that had stood 8 feet tall, lying by the side of the creek, with its neck broken. Now I wanted to find out everything I could about Bigfoot. I advertised for any information or leads. You can't believe the number of stories people had to tell. My friends laughed at them all. Okay, I'd laugh too. But things were different now. I had to figure out what was fact and what was fiction. There were reports of creatures 12 feet tall, 800 pounds, that prowled on 2 feet. Now that's absurd, scientifically impossible. No creature that size or weight could even stand upright. And as for tracks, you can't imagine the number of kids I found running around the woods making plywood fakes. Tales of hunters being ripped apart, campers kidnapped and never heard of again. But 4 features, all the reports shared, were the dark hair, the domed head, the large footprints, and the glowing red eyes. Nature's my home. How could some missing link be wandering around up here without me knowing it? It was good to get back in the mountains and visit a couple of my pets. I tried not to think about Bigfoot, but it was tough to shake. It wasn't 2 minutes before my friend had vanished in the wood. Well, I set out after him, but I couldn't find him anyplace. I came to a bridge, and there beside it, another track. Fresh. My legs were moving before I realized what I was doing. I couldn't believe what I'd seen. I had to get a closer look. Nauseating, musky odor. Difficult to breathe. But I had to find out what I'd seen. It was getting dark. Time was growing short. Bigfoot. I'd seen Bigfoot. What the hell was I doing? I was here alone, without a rifle, without anyone knowing where to find me. With a 500-pound, 8-foot-tall, vicious creature. I had to get out of here, get some help. I had to show people what I'd seen. The footprints. It was just the cat. I'd never been so scared in my life. But my friends couldn't laugh now. Wait till they saw the tracks. The rain, it was just the cap. Washed the tracks away.
Hurry, get your Bigfoot burger, 2 burgers.
Now, people's attitudes towards
Damn, now I want food.
me mad. I'd seen it. Matter of fact, I felt I'd been singled out to find it. Where do you begin? Jackson Hole, Wyoming. A suspicious set of tracks. I really thought I was on to something. Over 500 on the side of a mountain. The tracks are funny things. The smallest print can melt, freeze, get snowed over. And before you know it, it's gigantic. Here, the supposed Bigfoot was a little old coyote. The redwoods, an endless source of sightings. If this creature were here, where did it hide? I searched in the caves formed by the roots of the ancient trees. Here were perfect shelters, large, dark, secluded, hideaways to recover from injuries. Refuge for many forest animals from the elements. Protected privacy when giving birth. Hundreds of tree caves, but no tracks, bones, or unusual droppings. No clues at all. I had to be wasting my time. But there was a statue carved in redwood. Its image was based on hundreds of sightings collected over the years. And it was exactly like the creature I had seen myself. Oregon coast. Reports of Bigfoot feeding during the run of the nightfish. The shore was secluded. Food was plentiful. It seemed a perfect place for the secretive Bigfoot. So I waited. You don't know what it is to wait till you've been a tracker. Finally, a gull came with the first sign of the run. And right behind it, you've never seen so many fishermen. My secluded beach turned into Coney Island. Only way Bigfoot could show up here was wearing swimming trunks. One bum steer after another. How was I supposed to know which lead to follow? I was running out of time, and I was running out of money. As we left, I felt like the waves were laughing at our backs. Then came our hottest tip yet. We couldn't turn it down. Snowbird warned us of an upcoming storm, but I was too excited and ignored it. The area was rich with wildlife, And why not Bigfoot? Plenty of food, plenty of cover. This time, remote from man. There it was. My efforts had paid off. And this time, I was ready for it. I wasn't ready to find out it was just a bear staying up past its winter bedtime. What was happening to me? Any Boy Scout knows how people's eyes play tricks on them in the woods. I was like a gun-happy hunter that makes a 10-foot grizz out of a charred old tree stump. Even the snowbird was laughing. And why shouldn't it? Here I was, a grown man running around the woods chasing some fairy tale. I felt like a fool. Well, I was out of patience, and I was out of money. So I took a job up in the wilderness around Bossburg, Washington. Had to photograph a cinnamon bear in its natural habitat. You want a bear? Here's a bear. Piece of cake. I always got what I said after. Except Bigfoot. Then I saw it. A deformed version of the track I'd seen so often. There it was. Finally, face to face with Bigfoot. Here was the domed head, just as others had described it. The thick, dark fur to protect it from extremes of weather and allow it to pass unnoticed in the night. I saw it, photographed it, but scientists challenged my film. It had stood up under every conceivable test. Some revealed rugged terrain as the cause of the skinned heels, polio as the cause of the limp. But my documented evidence wasn't good enough for the experts. Experts who still ask, how could such a creature survive? Where does it live? Show us its remains. What does it eat? Experts who challenged my word but claimed credit for my film and profited by it on lecture circuits. Well, I didn't care for these people. But I was haunted by their questions. What an experience. Now I had to start finding some answers. The creature's tracks disappeared at the edge of a beaver swamp. Only sign of animal life was the geese migrating north for the summer. I wanted the satisfaction of bringing back unchallengeable proof. Still, where to begin? I found several other creatures had passed through the area, all heading north. Could Bigfoot be a migratory animal? I plotted all the reliable reports. Actually seemed to be a migratory pattern extended over thousands of miles. If this were true, I'd have some means of predicting the creature's movements and a good chance to find some answers to my questions. Bigfoot always stayed in Rocky Mountains and isolated terrain. The greatest number of sightings, and the only ones of the Bigfoot young, were in summer, above the Arctic Circle. Could that be where Bigfoot migrated to breed? If I move rapidly, I might find a clue before season's end.
Yeehaw!
Peg and I took our camera and planned to document every step we took. The lava beds, Modoc, California. If Bigfoot were a migratory animal, my theory had to hold up all along the way. A track, centuries old, preserved in the lava. My theory was working. But I wondered how Bigfoot survived the violent eruptions that brought the lava rock. As usual, nature provided me clues. I saw these two little ground squirrels so much in love they took no notice of me or the dangers around them.
Water ship down. In case you hadn't noticed, the animals in the neighborhood are going crazy tonight. That's what happens when you do streams outside, right?
The male's natural instincts drove him to cover. These same instincts started up in the wounded squirrel. Nature was reminding me of her basic law, survival. This same will to survive must have somehow kept Bigfoot going throughout all these years.
Oh, come on, at least he got away.
Where did the creature go if it were injured? The caves, Mount Lassen. The Hat Creek Indians believed they were inhabited by an evil ape man.
I really see a Bigfoot and a
Now
freaking
I was
spider.
hot. Every step along the way brought me new clues. It was too late in the season to find the creature here now. But I'd soon catch up with him above the Arctic Circle. They encouraged me, took my search seriously. Like the lumberjacks, mountain men, like myself. The first in the midst of the wilderness, which meant first with stories of Bigfoot. Most of their sightings came at the time of year I'd anticipated. They were sure when Bigfoot passed, because strange happenings followed in a nearby valley. Herds of goats come and perform a ritual suicide. Sure enough, the goats were there, looking as if they were grazing normally, but actually eating pounds of dirt. With one gulp of water, the earth turns to cement, and they die, lying in the shadow of Bigfoot, etched in rock 26 feet high, and the wolf, his only known traveling companion. What went on in this valley Bigfoot passed through went against all the natural laws of survival. I felt close to the adventurers who'd left their calling cards at Watson Lake as they crossed into the Yukon, and even closer to those who'd made a similar journey at the turn of the century. Folks who set out after something they didn't know where to find, but knew was out there someplace. With so many pouring into the Yukon during the gold rush, it's no surprise there'd be such a rich source of stories about Bigfoot. For the first time in my life, I understood what made people like that tick. It's more than gold. I guess we all need a frontier to explore. Don't necessarily have to go off into it. Just makes you feel kinda good knowing it's there. Thousands of these people came from everywhere. Tent cities sprung up where no man had ever even walked. If Bigfoot came here to keep clear of man, its seclusion didn't last for long. Such a rich source of information had to bring new leads. Sure enough, an old miner's story told how the glaciers up there were the burial grounds of the Bigfoot. That would explain why there were no remains. The creatures carried their dead over thousands of miles, just to deposit them in crevices that open up in the spring and fall. Can you imagine?
Oh, whoa, really? Does anybody buy that one? Let me know in the
I went there
comments.
searching for some remains. I did find tracks, so I had to be close. I found bones that told many different stories, but none of Bigfoot. The constant movement of the glaciers could either crush the remains or wash them to the sea. Burial grounds of the Bigfoot. I thought of the people who were the source of these stories. Their friends called them crazy. And some of them might have been. But you wouldn't believe the extremes they went to for their fortunes, romance, and the unexplored. I guess it wasn't so tough to believe Bigfoot could have gone to similar extremes for a far more instinctive, basic drive, as burying his dead. So many questions. Well, I sure understood what drove those miners as they sailed up the river in pursuit of gold. For I'd soon ride the same river in pursuit of Bigfoot. The miners were gone now, but I knew Bigfoot had to still be around. The frequency of current sightings meant he'd somehow survive the diseases the white man brought into the wilds. The tuberculosis, measles, that wiped out whole tribes of Indians and Eskimos. He'd even survived the violence reaching out from the boomtowns. Now I understood why Bigfoot steered clear of man. He had to, in order to survive. However vicious the creature might be, I gained a lot of respect for the elusive Bigfoot and its ability to endure. But if we were to find it, we'd have to get to the furthest outpost of civilization. When we ran out of road, we saw the remnants of the old pioneers giving way to the machinery of the new. Thousands were now pouring back up to the new gold rush for the black gold, oil. How much longer could Bigfoot avoid all these people? Where would he go next? I gambled on him heading north. Well, traveling had been tough, so we treated ourselves to the fanciest hotel in town. There, Yukon Frida. Her sketches were based on recent sightings and descriptions of Bigfoot from that very area. As we we started our journey up the river, I thought of the statues and drawings I'd seen in Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, the Yukon, and now above the Arctic Circle. All of them resembling the very creature I saw myself. They were too similar, over too vast an area to be coincidental. But these images weren't good enough for the experts below. I still had a lot of questions to answer. There were no grocery stores up here, so we ate off the land or purchased fish from the Eskimos. I knew I could get my answers from these people, because stories of Bigfoot were as plentiful as the food. One man told of the strange day his mother died. In a cabin like this, family and friends gathered to await the passing of her spirit. That night, they heard a soft scratch at the door. There was Bigfoot, chanting in a strange tongue. Everyone was terrified. The spirit of his mother was speaking through the voice of Bigfoot. They must abandon their homes, which they did. The next day, an ice floe changed the river, and waters now flow where the village once stood. I asked to see this area, hoping for a sign of Bigfoot. The man said, if you wish to see the king of the animals, he breeds in the mating grounds of the Alaskan moose. The moose came as if a sign, reaffirming the man's words. By a salmon wheel, a lone Eskimo greeted us with the words, Bigfoot is not here. How did he know what we were after? He told a tale about a trapper who killed a creature in the early 40s, bringing the wrath of Bigfoot down upon his people. He said, one night I was caught out on the trail with only a few minutes of twilight left. The lights began to shine in the sky. They were bright. Traveling was good. Then the snow turned red. The north, south, east, and west, rivers of blood flowed across the sky and down into the snows. It seemed to be the last day of the world. Bigfoot was punishing us for bringing it sorrow. Then, the good white light rose from the north. What followed was a battle of 1,000 warriors. White light was the spirit of Bigfoot, left to die by the trapper. It returned in the form of a white raven to protect us from the red wrath of its grieving brothers. If you travel the river, you may see it. And if you do, he will bring you luck. Then the native gasped, pointing to a bird soaring above us. The legendary white raven. The fisherman said, Bigfoot smiles upon you. You will bring word of him to the people below. was reeling. At the next village, the natives were waiting for us. They had heard about the White Raven and wanted to show us their secret, sacred figure. Here it was again. They told us how Bigfoot was their friend. Their friend? How did they think such a violent creature could be their friend? They told how Bigfoot carried the bodies of men killed, lost in the Arctic winter to the edge of the nearest village to be buried by their own kind. When I asked where I could make contact with their friend, they said, in the land of shining eyes. But they warned me not to violate Bigfoot's domain. I reminded them of the White Raven, so they taught me a chant to sing on the night of the full moon and promised I would see the glowing eyes of Bigfoot. I wasn't going to have a thing to do with any chanting. So I set up walkie-talkies 300 yards from the tent to monitor any movements on the tundra during the night. At the first sound, I'd have a jump on the creature. Then the wait. The land was lush with vegetation. Perfect feeding ground. Berries, lichen, gnats, bugs, millions of fish. Not just a land of ice and snow. I understood why Bigfoot and so many animals flocked to the Arctic to breed, raise their young. But this land was strangely silent. Where were the animals? My transmitter had been thrown 15 feet. And the tundra held no tracks. Days passed. I felt like a fool, but now I'd go to any ends to conjure up the creature. Soon Peg saw what she thought were two car lights approaching. I was caught in the darkness, but Peg guided me toward the lights. I had to find out what it was. Then we realized they were the shining eyes. This time, I couldn't let Bigfoot escape. Disappear behind a rainbow. This was the door coming apart at the seams. Here I was, an experienced mountain man all my life, acting like a spooked tenderfoot. I still had 1,000 questions, and so few answers. I couldn't concentrate. My head was spinning with tall tales and folklore. I no longer knew what to believe. I had to get away from the others. Be by myself. There were the salmon, back after 10 years of living in the sea, to spawn in the exact place of their birth, and then to die. They reminded me of those I'd seen at Kodiak, in the days when I was a pure tracker, stuck to nature's signs, and wasn't so confused with all the legends and stories of man. And there were geese. My first clue to Bigfoot's migratory pattern. I began to feel close to nature again. I knew that's where I'd find the answers to my questions. And the caribou. The shining eyes. Scratching velvet off their antlers release swamp gas from the tundra to glow in the night.
No insurance? No problem.
And now a word from the
Let us
sponsors.
do anything to make you smile.
Assholes.
What must have been the monarch of the North. I was terrified. He could crush the likes of me with one swoop. But it was the most magnificent animal I think I've ever seen. He didn't seem to notice me as he made a clearing. He sharpened his horns as if to prepare for combat. I thought he'd come for me now. Instead, he dug a pit. He marked it with his scent. This attracted cows from all over the area and seemed to warn other bulls to keep away. The cows declared themselves his by covering themselves with his scent. I made it. The mating grounds of the Alaskan moose, where no man had ever been before, and possibly the breeding grounds of Bigfoot. Some young wolves seemed a little overeager and found the monarch defending his territory against all intruders, while others waited for the right moment to move in. Then he saw me. But luckily, a match for the monarch challenged him for his cows and territory. Those who'd waited now moved in. While the bulls were fighting, nature made sure there'd be a good crop of calves come spring.
Oh, Lord.
Finally, the monarch triumphed. Now, too preoccupied to give any notice to me, he gathered his cows. And, according to the law of nature, the strongest began to breed. I was deeply moved by what I'd seen, but still, no sign of Bigfoot. The salmon lay dying in the streams, signaling the end of the breeding season. Time was running out, so we took to the air. The Arctic winter could close us in at any moment, so we had to move fast. Why couldn't I find this creature? Was my theory wrong? When I saw the expanse of space below, I laughed. Anything could be out there. They'd found Stone Age men in New Zealand. There were prehistoric fish being pulled out of the Persian Sea. My God, a primitive man walked out of the mountains 70 miles from the capital of California. There's so much territory yet to be explored. We found undiscovered wrecks of men who tried to break into this wilderness and were never heard of again. I couldn't think of the risks. Everything I believed in was on the line. Suddenly, the pilot whipped around. There he was,
Oh.
a young Bigfoot, frozen like a tree. We raced back to the river, but he slipped away. Seeing the young Bigfoot confirmed my theory. I could now roughly predict the creature's movements. The crew celebrated the sighting, but it wasn't enough for me. I knew I needed to document Bigfoot's habits. The young Bigfoot's tracks led me from the river to a lush meadow. He'd passed through a herd of grazing muskox. I wondered what Bigfoot fed on. Maybe he ate vegetation too. Or fish. I'd seen him by a river. Of course, he could have been cleaning himself. Or drinking. Of course, he could be a predator. One of these oxen would last him half the winter. Bigfoot's behavior still held many mysteries. But now it was just a matter of time before I solved them. Winter now closed down on us in earnest. We were forced to move south, just like the animals. The caribou gathered for their migration. They'd be the source of food for all the meat-eating animals that followed. If Bigfoot were a meat-eater, he'd feed on caribou too. If I could prove that he did, I'd have a clue to the place he held in nature. If I could film it, I'd have the kind of documentation the experts demanded. Whatever his habits, I knew the road would be paved with danger.
wonder if people bought tickets to see this stuff back in the day. I bet they felt all pissed off, didn't they?
I was devastated by the slaughter of the caribou. I kept thinking of Bigfoot and its migration. It had to be protected. It could be wiped out before I had a chance to study it. But how could I get protection for something so few believed existed? I needed that unchallengeable proof I'd first set out for. There was no sign of Bigfoot with the caribou. It must eat vegetation or fish. The perfect place. Beaver Swamp in the spring. I got there early and planned to stay as long as I could. I used every trick I learned over my years as a trapper and carefully covered my scent with ammonia. Beaver Swamp. The geese. If my theory was right, Bigfoot would follow shortly. I searched for the perfect place to set up a blind. When I found it, I moved in and set up my cameras. Day after day, I waited and soon grew jealous of the other animals' freedom. I was stiff, chilled to the bone, but I was determined not to make a move that might warn Bigfoot of my presence. What if he didn't come? And the movement in the woods. The sun hadn't come up yet. It was hard to make out what I'd seen at first. There he was. Bigfoot, standing no more than 100 yards from my blind. I began to shake all over. I could barely keep hold of my camera. He was awesome. Then, behind me, another one. Smaller, possibly younger. How many of them were there? Was I surrounded? They were the most extraordinary creatures I'd ever seen. I now knew why the Eskimos called Bigfoot the king of the animals. The older, larger one was 7 feet tall, 450 to 500 pounds. His domed head and long dark hair, just like the other creatures I'd seen. His odor was overwhelming, the same thick, musky scent that first led me to Bigfoot so long ago. The young one was no more than 5.5 feet tall, 250 pounds. If my guess was right, probably on its first trip away from its northern breeding grounds. He'd probably never seen a man before. If he saw me, he could panic and attack. Then I around and realized the other animals were carrying on normally. If danger was around, they would have fled. Just as the Eskimos had said, Bigfoot is a benevolent creature. It doesn't even attack or feed on other animals. It seems to eat only vegetation or sometimes fish. Here it was before me, pulling up the tender swamp grass with its hands. Remarkable huge hands that seemed capable of grasping, scooping up drinking water, splashing to rid itself of parasites. I'd done it. Here I was again with Bigfoot. Unchallengeable proof my theory had worked. It is a migratory animal, and I now have the documentation of its habits I needed. Now we can begin to understand the place this creature holds in nature. A raccoon came out to start his day's hunting. I knew the nocturnal Bigfoot would soon return to the cover of the forest. Once again said goodbye to this mysterious creature that has somehow outlived its natural role, endured the tests of time, now left to wander the land elusively with a strange will to survive.
Yeah, Andrew, I'll be sure to check that out after everything's over tonight.
I still have plenty of questions, and I'll continue my search for the answers now. But I assure you, I'll no longer get so caught up in the problems of my research, and I'll lose touch with the wonders it reveals.
And that's the feature presentation, The Legend of Bigfoot from the 1970s, a documentary style movie about Bigfoot. And I appreciate everybody joining me for 13 o'clock live with Daily Dan. It's been a wonderful show, and now stay tuned as we do another part of the show I like to call Night Flights. It was named by my real good friend, Thrash Pondo Pons. And that's just kind of the part of the show where I'm going to sit back, click up a few things, play a video or two, And listen to the strange sounds here in the night. Did you hear that? Well, this may turn into a live something hunt tonight. I just heard some weird howls in the distance. I don't know if that's picking up on camera or not, but can you hear that? I haven't had much activity around this week. I did put out a few videos late at night like this one where I had heard some stuff. You can see them on the Danny Staten channel.
Broadcast Galaxy Tower 23. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Out of our Cleveland, Ohio affiliate station. Out of our Cleveland, Ohio affiliate station. There have been multiple reports. The Sasquatch has been seen. The Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the elusive Bigfoot has been seen near the Cleveland, Ohio Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Near the Cleveland, Ohio Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Eating a chili dog. A double cheese foot-long chili dog. One witness on the scene. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who would like to remain anonymous, said that he saw the Bigfoot, the elusive Bigfoot, eating a double cheese chili dog, and also drinking Mad Dog, 100 proof Mad Dog, getting drunk as a skunk on the train line, drunk as a wino skunk on the train line. He said you could smell Mad Dog alcohol coming out of his pores 25 feet away, and he was whistling and hollering and harassing middle-aged women, telling them to pull up their tops and show their tatas. A matter of fact, he said he's scared. He scared a middle-aged woman there who was in town from Dayton, Ohio, filming a cable TV game show called The Deal. She jumped up, got scared, and screamed at the Bigfoot, and says, I will not make a deal with you, and pull up my top and show you my tatas. She called the authorities. Sirens were heard in the background, and the elusive Bigfoot disappeared. Anyone out there listening to this broadcast, sees the elusive Bigfoot, call the 1-800-DONUT hotline, the 1-800 ENN Donut Network News hotline, and report it. ENN Donut Network News wants to be the first news network to get an exclusive first-time interview with the infamous elusive Bigfoot. If we get the interview with the Bigfoot, it will be the first ever in history interview with the Bigfoot. Donut Network News wants to be the first on the scene. This breaking report coming out of Cleveland, Ohio. Tower 23. Breaking news story coming out of Cleveland, Ohio. Brought to you by Donut Network News, DNN, the 24-hour news service.
And that was my friend at the Cult of Donuts, whooping out a Bigfoot video. I got a feeling that I may have had some influence with him on that one. I know he watches my videos, and he's a real good friend, a YouTube bud. Hey, now it's time for a part of the show where I check in with my friend, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and he's given me permission to jam some of his videos.
Thank you to everybody that's been helping support my channel. I'm now 80 away from 1,000, and I owe you guys out there in YouTube land for helping me out. Please share my content, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. With that being said, we're going to tell a story that happened along the Mississippi River. I hope you enjoy it. It's pretty good. While fishing from the banks of the Mississippi in southern Missouri, I came across a bank of soft ground. Not quite like sand, but not quite made of clay. Yet firm enough to set my 3 rod holders, fishing poles, firmly into the ground, spaced perhaps 6 to 8 feet apart. I noticed that my boots, while I walked the river's edge, left a firm impression into the ground. There was an assorted allotment of all types of animal tracks, ranging from small rodents, deer, and birds. Upon placement of my rod, set up with an assortment of tackle ranging from night crawlers, minnows, and chubs, I kind of jerry-rigged an over oversized crappie rig with a approximately 1.5 to 2 ounce sinker on the bottom. Just enough weight to keep my bait just off the mighty Mississippi's bottom floor. This part of the river had a rather subdued current compared to other sections that I fished. The top 2 of my 3 poles, I placed a bell, big to go off when I had a bite. Normally, I do not set up my gear like this, but I wanted to explore these tracks, but not lose a fish. I want my cake and eat it too, I suppose. Upon completion of my setup, I went walking down the riverbank. As I stated earlier, all sorts of wildlife tracks were implanted into the ground beneath my feet. Then, I came across a set of tracks that paralleled the river's edge that went on for about 10 yards. These were prints that I had never seen before. In fact, these were footprints. Yes, they appeared to be oversized feet. Now in the distance, one of the bells on my fishing pole started ringing, and I had hurried over to go land my fish. It was a nice 5-pound smallmouth bass that put up a nice fight. And I hoped that this would be the beginning of a nice run. After resetting my fishing line, I went into my tackle box and pulled out a tape measure to go back and measure these footprints. The first print I measured was the most clear. It, to my amazement, was 17 inches long and a width of about 6.5 to 7 inches. The print also showed 5 very distinct toes. I am thinking aloud, what or who could this be? Upon further investigation, I noticed that the print had a gate between the steps that was easily 4 to 5 feet apart, which seemed to cover this 10-yard distance in maybe 3 or 4 strides. Another thing that I found peculiar is I mentioned the tracks in the river.
Yeah, that busted me, Rob.
Stopped. Now the prints turned toward the river, as if the person, or whatever it was, walked directly into the mighty Mississippi. I do not know what this was. I heard many stories of Bigfoot in my life, and do believe they exist. Did I find Bigfoot tracks? I think probably so. I've gone back to the spot several times since, but have not seen any more prints or anything of that nature. Yes, I'm kind of disappointed, but it begs the question, why did it walk straight into the river? I suppose to fish. One thing is for sure, I'm sure glad that he did not get on my fishing pole. Now that would be quite a fishing rod to spin. Signed TJ from Missouri. That was kind of a short one. That's a pretty cool one. A lot of nice data there. Possible Bigfoot walking along the river's edge. All of a sudden it turns, walks right into the Mississippi River. I'm guessing to fish, but who knows? Who knows? Too bad that this gentleman didn't get find any more tracks. I don't know if he's a researcher or anything of that nature, but I thought it was a great tale from TJ. I hope you enjoyed it. It's Sunday. I gotta do some yard work. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. I appreciate you all. Hope you enjoy this. Subscribe, share, like. Do what you gotta do. Have a great day. Thanks.
And that's Bigfoot Michigan Rob, my friend from Michigan. Be sure to give him a check out. I put his link in the chat. And my flock, Sarah, if you're in there still, be sure to drop that link for your channel because you'll be able to catch Bigfoot Michigan Rob on her channel in an interview coming up real soon. And guess what? And Daddy Dan will be the co-host on that interview, and I'll be there to ask Bigfoot Michigan Rob the hard questions. And my flock, Sarah, has asked me to play a video, which is going to take me a minute to look up, unfortunately, I think. Are you talking about the new one, Sarah, or the old one? I think she's talking about the old one.
spider is the most accomplished of all web-building species. Recently, scientists gave these tiny creatures a variety of psychoactive drugs to observe their effects on web building. When given a minute dose of LSD, the spider's web took on an unfamiliar, minimalist structure. When given caffeine, the web structure was not affected, but the spider's behavior was. Given THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, the spider didn't build a web. It built a hammock, where it lay all day and watched the caffeine spider go. When given alcohol, the spider built a web, found a mate, and raised over 100 young. But the mate got a restraining order, and now the spider can't go within 100 centimeters of the web. The crack cocaine spider figured building webs was for suckers, waited till the caffeine spider was exhausted, then came up behind it and popped a cap in its ass. Nice web, Mr. Crack Spider. When winter came, the marijuana spider had no place to live. It ended up in the crack web as the crack spider's bitch.
No.
For more information on the crack spider's bitch, contact the Canadian Wildlife Service in Ottawa.
I swear that video gets me every time. That's my flock as ever were. With her spider video. I love that video. I think it's great. And I've got to go through this again real quick. Give me 1 second. And now we're going to get to the part which is kind of sad. I saved it for the end of the show because I didn't want to depress everybody while they were still here. And most of the show people leave right after the main show. And a few people stick around for Night Flight. And a few people watch it on the rewind later on, or the replay. Matter of fact, I think I get most of my views the next day, as most people don't stay up as late as night as this to just listen to Daily Dan rattle on and show some videos, you know. But I think it's cool, and I play some music, and I have a pretty cool little show. When I get a laptop and a computer, I promise the show quality will pick up a lot better. And I'm getting the sponsors, but we got sad news. And I'm going to get this set up here, and we're going to check with Dave Sunstorm.
Steve Sunstrom, welcome to another video celebrating entertainment from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff. When I first heard that actor Roger E. Mosley had passed away at age 83, succumbing to injuries sustained from a car accident, it took me a moment to recognize his name. Oh, that's right, he was the guy who played TC on Magnum P.I. I loved that character. Of course, it wasn't long before all of the major news outlets started reporting that Roger had died. And as I read through the various articles and tributes, I discovered that his life story was a rich one. There was so much more than just that role on that TV show. Of course, that doesn't mean that playing TC on Magnum P.I. was insignificant. It certainly wasn't. It's been said that a TV show is only as good as its supporting characters, and Magnum P.I. was a perfect example of that. Roger brought such charm to the role of Theodore Calvin, better known as TC, a friend of Thomas Magnum's who runs a one-person local helicopter charter and tour band service called Island Hoppers. It's worth mentioning that Roger could actually pilot helicopters, but he wasn't allowed to on the show for insurance reasons. Anyway, TC is the kind of guy that Magnum can really rely on through thick and thin. It should be noted that Roger wasn't originally supposed to play TC. The producers of the show had been considering actor Gerald McRaney for the role, but when they decided that they wanted to add a bit of diversity amongst the recurring characters, Tom Selleck remembered Roger from working with him on a 1973 film called Terminal Island. The movie itself isn't all that noteworthy, but it is worth mentioning that Tom and Roger became good friends as they worked together on that film, and that is how Roger was eventually cast in Magnum P.I. Yep, it was Tom who suggested to the producers that they take a look at Roger. You know, I have a friend who is a fairly well-respected business leader who once told me that his secret to success is that he knew that he had to be pretty good at what he did, but that the most important thing was that people needed to like him. And that was certainly true of Roger. People really did like him. Tom Selleck liked him and never forgot their time working on Terminal Island. Aside from Magnum P.I., of all the movies that Roger worked on, the 1976 film Leadbelly is the one that he was most proud of. That movie chronicled the life of folk singer Huddie Ledbetter and focused on the troubles of his youth in the segregated South, including his time in prison and his efforts to use his music to gain release. Far away from the world of entertainment, Roger was also an influential track coach in California's Monrovia Unified School District. It's been said that he got the most out of his athletes, and no matter what happened after the kids left, all of them would return and say thank you. His efforts as a coach and mentor to many young athletes helped them better understand not only how to succeed in sports, but in life as well. More recently, Roger found time to return to the small screen to make an appearance on the new version of Magnum P.I. This time around, Roger played Bookie, a Vietnam vet and barber to whom the new TC goes to for advice, and apparently a great haircut. It was Roger's daughter, Cha, who was the first to actually share the news of her father's passing, which she did on Twitter, saying that he would have hated the idea of anyone crying in his name. Instead, she encouraged friends, family, and fans to celebrate the rich legacy that he had left behind. So that, my friends, is what I think we should all do. Whether you fire up an old episode of Magnum or track down Roger's favorite movie, Leadbelly, let's all take an hour or two and celebrate the life of this great man who was not only an actor, but a beloved husband and father, and a mentor and coach who changed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, over the years. Indeed, Roger's life has been a memorable one and truly worthy of celebration. Thanks so much for watching.
And that's my friend Dave Sunstorm. You'll find his link in the chat. Be sure to check his videos out. And he has brought us so much wonderful stuff, and it's really sad that Roger Mosley has passed away. I was a big fan of the original Magnum P.I., and I was kind of a big fan of everybody on the show, not just his. I'm going to go over to Daily Dan's The Good Stuff, one of my other channels now. And I'm going to play a video I put out yesterday, I believe it was. And this is the sad ending of actress Anne Heche.
Go for what you feel truthfully in your life, and you will be rewarded a millionfold. Anne Heche has died. She survived by her two sons, Atlas and Homer. I'm so lucky. I walk around with a joyous experience. I have two beautiful children. Anne got her start on the soap opera Another World. Leaving today? It's the hardest work anybody could ever do. I say it's the best work you can do. She later transitioned to the big screen. I also like acting in all different kinds of things. You're turning around. You're turning around like a... Well, I just haven't fallen through. Please be careful. That doesn't hold you. We fall through. It's a great big stunt where you actually fall into it. Stop me, something's beating you. It's gonna punch you. If I'm doing a satire, I hope I'm good in that. If I'm doing a romantic comedy, I hope I'm good in that. There's this saying, let go and let God. And that's kind of how I live my life. In 1998, Anne starred opposite of Harrison Ford in the romantic comedy 6 Days, 7 Nights. Oh, are you gonna fix it? I mean, can't we reattach it somehow?
Oh, sure. We'll, glue it back on.
We became really good friends on that movie, which is, I think, why people like it, because they just see our friendship in it.
You still look good. I'm still that good.
He gave me the opportunity to even have a career that still stands today, honestly, because of the foundation that he gave me by doing that movie.
And never stopped working over the years.
My God, he's a private resource. I like life. That's what it is.
In 2020, Anne hit the ballroom on Dancing with the Stars. In between rehearsals, she took a moment to reflect on her past relationships
lights were going, I would use my Fox contacts. I thought it was a beautiful time to be able to talk about what had happened 20 years ago, and I think we're at a time in our history where we're able to look back and say, oh, now I'm ready for a little bit of fuller picture. And the fact that we've run Dancing with the Stars made it just make all the more sense to be able to come out and wear a Star Spangled Banner for gay rights. Really is what I did with my inside out dress. Every single one of the crew and cast really were behind it and celebrating it, and was so thoughtful and supportive of knowing the truth and being able to speak it in such a clear and self-explanatory way.
Remembering Ann Hayes here on the Daily Dan blog. You're watching the after show. You're watching a little something we call Night Flights over here. And that's where I play videos. Mostly from other people on YouTube. I play some songs. I chill out. We enjoy the night. I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you enjoyed the movie. I hope you actually watched the movie. I was going to go back to Dave for a minute over on Dave's Sunstorm channel. For another, I'm not going to play the whole video because it's like an hour long. But I thought I'd play the first couple of minutes of this.
I guess suddenly was Olivia Newton-John, dead at the age.
And remember Olivia Newton-John with Dave for a minute.
Hey folks, breaking news, we have lost Olivia Newton-John, dead at the age of 73. This is certainly tough news for fans of Olivia. I think back to, the 70s and the 80s and just what a tremendous force that she was in the world of music. And it definitely is a sad day indeed. So let me go over the facts here real quick and let's cover them. And those folks that want to stick around and share their memories, I would love to have you do that. We'll make sure I share them on the screen. But I do want to get through the pertinent details for folks that maybe have just jumped onto the live stream to find out what exactly has happened. So let me go ahead and do this real quick. This is being reported by all major news outlets. Olivia Newton-John dies at age 73. Of course, this is a quarter-century battle with breast cancer that has been ongoing and that she waged so valiantly over the course of those 20-plus years. So let's dig a little deeper if we can here. Let me go to the Yahoo article. It says that Olivia Newton-John, singer, actress, philanthropist, passed away today, August 8th, and she was 73 years old. And as I mentioned already earlier, this has been a long struggle with breast cancer. She survived by this is her second husband, John Easterling. Of course, in the 80s, she was married to Matt Latanzi, who was an actor and an aspiring actor model. And Easterling announced the sad news through her Facebook page along with her daughter Chloe, who she had with Matt. And this is the actual quote here. I'm going to go ahead and read that one verbatim. It says, Dame Olivia Newton-John passed away peacefully at her ranch in Southern California this morning, surrounded by family and friends. We ask that everybody please respect the family's privacy during this very difficult time. Olivia has been a symbol of triumph and hope for over 30 years, sharing her journey with breast cancer. Her healing inspiration and pioneering experience with plant medicines continue with the Olivia Newton-John Foundation Fund, dedicated to researching plant medicine and cancer. And then they suggest that in lieu of flowers, the family asks that any donations be made in her memory to said foundation. And that's at ongfoundationfund.org. Okay, so, I think a lot of us probably remember when she really propelled to fame, and that was, of course, the movie Grease. But for a guy like me who was a teenager in the late 70s, early 80s, I remember her for a lot of things. Not the least of which was the after Grease, she had another movie that I absolutely loved. It was lambasted by the critics, but those of you that have seen Xanadu, I think a lot of you know why that's such a fun movie and why it has so many fans. And of course, she had a huge hit with the album Physical and the single of the same name. So let me go ahead and take that off the screen for a minute. And we'll go over to Twitter in just a second for folks who want to hang around. We'll see what some of her celebrity colleagues are saying and what kind of tributes are pouring in via Twitter. But I want to first get to your comments.
And that was Dave Sunstorm letting us know.
From South Carolina, how you doing? Danny says no. Mr. Marcelo Romero says very, very sad.
He was talking about me right there. I should have left it up for another minute, shouldn't I? Well, anyway, be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought of the show. Be sure to let me know any suggestions you have for upcoming shows or stuff I might be able to get away with playing here on the Daily Dan blog. I'm going to call this episode Copyright Theater because I got a feeling they're going to bust my butt for playing that. But at least they didn't take the stream down, right, guys? So this is Danny State, and I appreciate everybody joining me tonight. Also want to give a shout out to Carolyn Blandon, I consider a family member, a very close person to me who passed away this week also. And I hate to end the show on a somber note, but I thought each one of them famous people who passed away deserved a little recognition, much like my friend Dave did. And I'll finish the show out with my usual trademark song. Or maybe I won't. You just don't never know. Okay.
Down in South Carolina, way down yonder, there's a big old critter that likes to wander around my backyard sometimes late at night. Well, it ain't no beaver, bobcat, or bear, 'cause he's 8 foot tall and covered in hair, and the first time I seen him, he gave me quite a fright. Well, he eats from my garden and pees in my grass, and he stinks like a skunk mixed with grizzly bear ass, and he scares my cats when they smell him come around. Well, he spends his time peeking around trees, and he thinks what he wants, and he does what he pleases, like scratching his butt and making a grunting sound. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, knocking on the trees, chucking rocks and screaming like a troop of chimpanzees. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, running around my place. Are you the missing link, or are you from outer space? Now you may wonder, what does a Sasquatch do when he's wandering around at 1:45 in the middle of the night because he's feeling down? Well, he comes on over to visit my house. I think he has a little thing for my spouse, 'cause she always feels like someone is around. Well, he looks in the windows and checks out my wife. Can't say as I blame him. She looks pretty nice in a fuzzy robe as green as the foam of the sea. Well, he stands and he blinks as he ponders and thinks about humans and love, and she smiles so sweet, and he wonders what the heck she sees in me. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, stop looking in my windows. I think it's kinda creepy, you voyeuristic weirdo. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, keep your big paws to yourself. And you got a lady Sasquatch to raise your Sasquatch well.